Hello, everybody, and welcome to UCSB Edible Campus Program's pre-recorded series. My name is Aubrey, and today we'll be doing something a little bit different from what we usually do in our usual workshop content. With me today is my fellow UCSB student and the creator of the food Instagram, Food with Pun, and this is Celine. Hi, Celine.
Hi, Audrey.
So in this interview, we're going to be covering a little bit about Celine, what motivated her to start gardening, how her access to food has changed since she started growing her own food, how this has impacted her diet, and maybe some of her involvement with the Edible Campus program in the past, some of her inspirations for this food Instagram that she'll talk about, and what maybe she hopes her followers can gain from this social media experience. So, and hopefully she can share some tips for people who are planning on growing for the first time. So we have so many fun things to talk about. And with that, let's get started. So hello again, Celine. Thank you so much for letting me interview you today and for offering some insight into how you garden and cook and do all kinds of cool stuff. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Like what year at UCSB are you? What's your major? Why you chose it?
Hi, I'm a incoming senior. I'm writing in literature and environmental studies double major. I knew I wanted to be a writer, but I didn't know what for. And then I took an environmental racism and justice class in the Black Studies department. And I'm just like, okay, I need to learn more about what environmental studies is. So then I added the major so I could get access firsthand because only past one, all the shenanigans. So that's why I'm doubling in that.
Okay, awesome. I had no idea you were a double major, but I think that writing and environmentalism, like science communication, is so important. So I love that. So with gardening, how did you start? Like, what was the first thing that got you interested in gardening?
My mom we live on the third floor in LA, and we have a balcony garden, and it's like a very small space, but like we always go to like Asian farmers market, and she would like negotiate to get like jasmine plants. And then one day like her friend gave her these dragon fruit cacti, and it's just like all gnarly. Like if you Google our like address, you'll see like the cacti all over the patio, I mean the balcony. So that's how I got into gardening, because I just like watched my mom fall in love with it and the plants would grow with her. And I wanted that for myself too. Carry a bit of home with me to college.
Oh, that's awesome. Did you guys grow mostly like things that you could eat on your balcony, or was it mostly just like house plants, or was it a mixture of both?
My mom was like the main caretaker for it. She just loved smelly stuff and tasty stuff. So things that are very aromatic, like star jasmine. And
Hmm.
then we also had some aloe, and never seen her use it. It was just like growing. We had some scallions at one point. I bought her some red flowers, but like somehow they all died. Didn't meet her
Oh,
criteria.
okay, so I know you mentioned that the jasmine, you wanted to carry like little bits of your past and living with your mom to college. So is there a fruit or a vegetable or a spice that you remember eating growing up that has like a very specific fond memory associated with it? Like, do you have a very nice food memory?
Yeah, scallions. I know that a lot of people during the pandemic they started like growing in those little water cups, but for her, she would always just like buy so much of it, and we never like thought to like regrow it until the pandemic. But like in our fridge, we like especially in LA, since it's like a buy four for like $1, we just have so much scallions. So when I went to like SB, I started regrowing them myself because it was super expensive here. It was like one for $1, and that's like I don't really want to spend too much money on this. So I would just like learn from everyone else and just regrow it. That's how I bring it home.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. I also have been growing my little green onions in their little water dish. Um, so were you always comfortable with growing your own food, or was there like a trial and error period? Like when you transitioned from your mom and you growing things to you growing things on your own, like how did that go?
I feel like since all the stuff I got was through the workshop I took, or because my mom gave it to me, I felt like there was nothing to lose. So I was very experimental. My first garden, I bought a big beef tomato variety from that nursery. I forgot what it's called, like the Soul. I don't remember, but it's an SB. And that was my first plant. And then my mom got me, she just cut off an arm off of her cacti. She gave it to me. And those were my first two plants. And it was under the stairwell somewhere in Sueño. And I would like just let them be, water them, like very low maintenance because tomato is a very easy plant. And then as soon as I took the workshop and I got more seeds, more pots, and more soil, I just started like planting them, watching them. And a lot of times, like they wouldn't make it past the sapling stage. Like I've tried to regrow a lot of things from seed, like from groceries, because I've seen people do it. And I'm just like, okay, this is not working out, but it's fine because like like I didn't pay much for this. So it wasn't like I was losing a lot.
No, that's awesome. I think that a lot of times gardening can seem kind of intimidating to beginners because, like, oh, what if it dies? Like, I'll be so sad. But I think that a little bit of experimentation is good. Like, if it's okay if a little seed dies, you have a whole seed packet. You can try again, find what works for you. So that's awesome. Love to hear it. Okay, so do you think that you have any like top tips for people who are planning to plant their own food for the first time? Like, what is a couple pieces of advice you would give them?
Definitely utilize the seed bank. Like the seed bank, all free seeds. They also give soil and pots. And I remember there's this one time on the Instagram, the food bank posted, oh, the first 20 people gets a free like bell pepper plant. And I was like, okay. So I rushed there and I was like, oh my God, I hope I get one because there's like 20. And they're like, no one came yet. You're the first one. So me and my friend, we both got one. And I'm like growing it for both of us because he went back to LA. And they're both different bell pepper plant. Like one's a bell pepper and the other one looks like a jalapeno. So I was just like, very like nice resources to utilize to regrow myself.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. I love that. And the seed bank is a great option for any of you out there watching this that want to get started. Um, Seeds are really a fun thing. And keeping up with social media accounts on the various part
Yeah.
organizations we have. There's always something going on, workshops, giveaways, things like that. So keeping up with the social media can really give you some good access to some really cool things like bell peppers or jalapenos, whatever.
Yeah.
Um, okay, so this next question is a bit more like on the psychological aspects of gardening. So why is it important for you to be able to grow your own food?
Oh, this is a good question. I read a lot of essays about this, and one of the reasons I grow my own food is so I could like honor my scallions in a way. So I could there's like Santa Barbara. It's like there's not a lot of accessible Asian like produce, and I use cow fresh. So going to these Asian stores that don't accept cow fresh, it's very hard to like purchase thing out of my own pocket. So having a dragon fruit cacti that will one day bear fruit makes me hopeful that I could have access to it one day and I could like give it away to my friends and family and be like that very cool like Asian mom in the neighborhood who just has abundance of fruits. And I feel like that's like a goal I want to have one day, like grow old, but have this like massive garden of fruit that like my friends haven't tried and be like, here, taste it. It's a gift for you. Like I have all this abundance. So that's why I really want to like have a garden.
No, that's awesome. I think it's a really good point that you brought up the cultural significance of growing your own food, especially since some areas might not be able to grow certain foods that we might be familiar with growing up or with our families. And there's a certain empowerment that comes along with being able to eat foods that you identify with that connect you to your culture. So I think that's hugely important as well. I'm glad that you touched on that. Okay, so when did you start cooking with the food that you grew? Like, how did you start? What inspired you?
I took a lot of free workshops with the food bank, and they would give us all these ingredients, and like a lot of it is the stuff I already grew. And I only grow food. I don't grow any like vegetables or house plants or anything, but I am house plant sitting for a friend because I felt like being a plant mom, seeing like my babies grow and then being able to enjoy like their gifts of gratitude. I'm able to create these very delicious meals, and I know that like I've talked to a lot of farmers and they say like, oh, we put pesticides, but we don't eat those like plants that they put pesticides. So for me, like not using anything that would like harm me and knowing like where my food came from, like how it grew, like there's no poison in it and it won't harm me. Like being able to eat that, like definitely makes me want to cook more for my garden.
No, that's awesome. I think that knowing where your food came from and having a role in that, that self-reliance is also really empowering. Um, so that is good to hear. And which I know you said that you did a lot of AS workshops. Which have you done any like Edible Campus Program workshops, and what was your favorite and why? Or just any workshop that you may have participated in?
I remember doing one with you. Like I think you were leading it. It was it like an outdoor, like intro to outdoor gardening or indoor gardening, one
I
of
think it
those.
was indoor gardening. Yeah.
Yeah. Definitely that was one of my favorites because I was able to start learning how to compost by myself. I still have everything. My compost bins are producing compost. My worms are happy, but I kind of want more worms. I feel like they're struggling with the amount of produce I'm giving them. But that's one of my favorites. And I've done a lot of cooking classes, but they don't really have like they're not related to gardening. Um, what other ones have I done? There was I can't remember, but yeah, those are the ones I remember.
Well, that's so awesome. I'm so happy to hear it. But yeah, that was a really fun workshop. I really enjoyed doing that one too. I felt like I was researching the materials so I could present it to you, but at the same time I was learning too, and I got so many tips from all of you guys who were participating. It was super fun. I unfortunately did not keep my worms. They did not make it. um, but it's okay because my current housing situation, my roommates would not be cool with having worms in our house. So just have to use the garden composting, which for those of you who are listening, you can always compost your stuff. You don't have to compost it at home. You can compost it at one of the many various gardens that we have around IV. And there are tons of programs that you can have for people to come pick up compost or things like that. There's just so many things out there. So I highly recommend doing a little bit of research on that if you're interested. Okay. So I remember meeting you in this workshop that we were just talking about. And I was really impressed by how enthusiastic you were. And we were always like bouncing ideas off each other and chatting and stuff. So I started following your social media account, which was Food with Poon. And I'm now learning so much from you and from the account. And I love seeing like all of the really beautiful food that you make. So what inspired you to create this account?
I did a research project for SUF, which is like a summer undergrad like research funding for CCS students. And I proposed doing like studying the intersectionality between Asian American and being plant-based. And one of the ways I wanted to like produce my creativity is through this account by like creating recipes, learning how to like style food and like learning how to create different recipes and following like networking with other people who identify with these intersectional identities. So that's why I created it so I could find my community. And I feel like Instagram is a great way to like find like-minded people.
Yeah, no, it really is. It certainly drew me in. What do you hope that your followers will gain from engaging with you on Food with Poon?
I love it when they send me photos of the recipes they tried and they approve of it because most of the times the recipes I make are like spontaneous. Like I make them once, like I really don't test them, which I feel like I should to be a better food blogger, but I don't really have that much resources to do so right now. So they will like send me things and I'm just like, yes, these recipes are good for you and they're good, like tasty and they're plant-based and they're like what I ate growing up. So like what I wanted like my followers to take away, it's like it's not hard to like be in touch with culture and enjoy good food at the same time. And I hope like more people start creating their own food blogs because I want to learn how to cook like foods from other people's culture too.
Yeah, no, I think that's an awesome idea. I think this is a great start to that, and a really awesome message to put out there for some of your many followers that might be interested in learning a bit more about you and your culture and how to go kind of like garden to table sort of thing. And that it really isn't that hard. I mean, you're a college student, you have other things going on, and it's still possible. So I really love that message. Okay, and for the last question, this is a biggie, so prepare yourself. Do you have a favorite dish you like to cook?
Oh, it seems very like situational. Like if I have a dinner party with like my housemates or my friends or family, the main food I like to cook is Japanese curry. You just get like these
Ooh.
Japanese curries. They sell it at Ivy Co-op, which is so nice. And then you just get a bunch of like vegetables and you just like boil it with the curry. And it's like super easy. And you just put it over rice or make your own naan. It's so good. And for myself, like if I was like desperate and I don't really want to cook, I would like have a bunch of scallion pancakes in the freezer and I would just heat it up whenever I'm like lazy because it's like super easy. And I would just mass produce like 20 at once, freeze them all. And then when I'm hungry, I'll just cook one at a time.
Oh my gosh, you make the scallion pancakes like in bulk and then you just like freeze them?
Yeah, I've
Oh, that's
tried many
genius.
recipes, but like, oh, also Trader Joe's salad. I like got some for Trader Joe's and I got some for myself and I like served it to my friends and I'm like, which one is better? Because if theirs is better, I'm not gonna mass produce this anymore. And they're like, no, yours is better. And I'm like, okay, good reason to have this as my desperation dish.
No, I love that. That's such a good idea. It like never even occurred to me. I always have like I always used to stock up when I would go to Southern California where I live, stock up on like the frozen scallion pancakes and bring them all the way back up here, and hope that they last a while. But I didn't even realize that I could just make them and freeze them myself. That's so smart. Okay, so with that, we will conclude the interview portion of the video. And in the second part of this video, we'll have a chance to watch Celine use the food that she's grown in a recipe. Which dish do you think you're going to make for this video portion?
I want to make a scallion oil noodle dish, which is just like putting oil on scallions and garlic. And if you want something like a spicy, you could put Sichuan peppers. And then on top will be all the toppings I got from my garden. Like I was gonna show you. Wait, I'm gonna undo my background so you could see.
Okay,
So
yeah.
I have a bunch of sweet potatoes from the sweet potato thing we did with the workshop. Like it grew all these babies, these golden nuggets. And then my first plant ever grew this big beef tomato, so I would have used that as a topping. And then my scallions, they're like super ripe in a way. Like
Yeah.
they're like heavy. So and then I have a bunch of mint and basil that I forgot to pick to show, but yeah, that's what I'm gonna make.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, I am super looking forward to seeing that. And for those of you that are watching, stay tuned for the next part of this video and you guys can watch Celine talk you through it and maybe give you some more insights along the way. So thanks so much for listening.
现在吃下。